guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to be covering part 5 of a very popular story I've been covering for the last couple weeks, titled, Newlywed has meltdown after husband gathers proof of her cheating for their at-fault divorce state. And that is all about the guy, because this is a recap here, because I've been doing this for a few weeks now. This is about the guy who rushed into a marriage with a woman he met at a wedding. He was at a wedding, and they were having a good time. They got together, started dating, and rushed into things. And kid you not, the second they got married, that's when everything went to hell in a handbasket real quick. The SEX came to a screeching halt. I think if they had SEX, it was the most boring vanilla type ever. She became very distant. She was always on her phone. Lots of girls' weekend, girl night. He was obviously frustrated with her, fighting, drama. It was just tit for tat, just a bad freaking mess. And it didn't take long for him to realize things weren't right. A long story short, one day he found proof on her phone that she was having an affair with a so-called friend of theirs. And he went down this whole path of gathering evidence, talking to a lawyer, PI, I believe, whole 9 yards, confronted her and kicked her the hell out. And it's been one thing after another with him, her. She disappeared off the face of the earth. It's very interesting there. Her younger sister, who this guy's close to, has been very helpful to him. We've all joked around that she's in love with him, but we shall see about that. He even went to the wife, or the fiance of the guy that was nailing his wife, about all this, so she's on his team. And he also let her family know what is going on. And it was all about what step by step of him dropping the bomb on her in terms of the serving the divorce papers. And in the last episode, he sent her those papers, and he was awaiting the fallout of the whole mess. And here we are at part 5, where you're going to see what happens, how she reacts when she gets served with the divorce papers. And let's just say it doesn't go too well for her. And let's just say also that she doesn't act her best. And then more about what he's doing, how things are going, etc., etc. So, picks up, he says here, hello all. It's been a little over a week since I posted, and I have some small news. If you didn't see my last update, that's because it was taken down. I don't know why, but I'll give you a rundown of all that has happened. I'll try to keep it short and sweet and move on to the update. He says, so before my wife was served, I had told a friend of mine that it was happening, and I told him to be on standby just in case she came over. I wanted him there as a witness. And you're going to see, guys, this was a very smart move on his part. Later in the day, my lawyer told me she was served at work, and a few hours later, my wife was banging on my door. I called my friend as soon as I heard her. I also called W. W is his sister, her sister. He speaks in code with her. M is his ex. W is her younger sister. And I told her she should come over because her sister is beating on my door. Soon after I got off the phone, my friend arrived and started recording my wife's tirade from his truck. He had brought his wife for some reason, and she got out to try and calm my wife down. She ran up to her and tried to pull her away, but my wife turned around and smacked her, telling her to stay out of her business. Holy crap. Showing up the door, banging down the door. I'm surprised she didn't try to huff and puff like the big bad wolf. And this guy's smart enough to have witnesses, and she smacks the other girl, and it's all on video. And by the way, guys, if you recall, this wife of his she disappeared after he kicked her out. Nobody knows where the hell she is. Nobody's heard from her, I believe. Or maybe the sister mentioned that she's obviously in a bad place or something like that, but he's never heard from her since it all happened. When my wife hit her, he stopped recording and called the police. It took me about 10 minutes for them to get there, and when they did, my wife flipped a switch and started saying that I, wait for it, abused her. When I stepped outside to talk to the cops, he immediately started to put me in cuffs until I told him I have cameras to show that she's lying. So, you can't make this shit up. This backs what guys say all the time. Have a witness, have cameras, have recording devices, because like that, she turned the crazy off and told the cops immediately. Oh, he was abusing me. And what happened? The cops' instant knee-jerk reaction was to put the cuffs on him. No need for proof, just automatically believe what she has to say. How screwed up is that? He stopped and allowed me to pull out my phone, and he watched the entire video showing that all she said was one big lie. She started going off again, and the cop arrested her, and he had her take a breathalyzer. Justice is served. And I bet you that cop, on the way to the police station, got the biggest show of waterworks you've ever seen. Made up, false accusation, lied to the police. As I took her to the car, W pulled up asking what was happening. She came and stood next to me, and when the cop brought the paperwork and to apologize to me for jumping to conclusions. I just told him that I understand, it's no big deal, and went inside. Well, that's awfully nice of him. At least the cop apologized, but hey, Mr. Police Officer, why do you automatically take her side? Why is that always the case? Because if he didn't have any cameras or witnesses there, he could have been dragged away that night and spent the freaking night or weekend in jail, right? W stayed behind to get to the full story from him, and soon after joined me, and she asked to stay over because M will have to stay overnight in jail. That little sister, I'm convinced, is in love with this guy. When I woke up, W was already gone, and that pretty much sums up my last update. I haven't heard from M since that night, but my lawyer was contacted by hers, letting him know that he'll be representing M. Finally, we can start this process. Yeah, finally, and he can get divorced from this wacko. I also reached out to Jay's fiance. Jay is the dude that was nailing his wife, to see if she has any news on her front. We only texted back and forth, but she told me that she has kicked him out of her house and had her father and brother pack up all his things and drop it off at his house. Good for her. She told me her dad and brother wanted to kick his butt, but she asked them not to, and that she just wants to put this all behind her and move on. She doesn't need her father and brother to get arrested and have a criminal record, although nobody can blame them. She thanked me for checking on her and tells me that her close friends are there for her when she needs them. I sent her the link to my Reddit page so she can see all the support that you gave to me and her. Yeah, the guys that have been giving support to this guy have been fantastic. Nothing but support. It says on Friday, the moment I got off work, I raced home. My plan was to go back to the cabin for the weekend, and when I arrived, W was in my driveway. Oh, imagine that. She wanted to grab her sister's things and had a list of what my wife expected. I skimmed through it and all, but one thing was already in a box or sitting in my garage waiting to be picked up. I told her I'm not transporting or touching anything that's in here. I'm not going to be responsible if M wants to claim it or claim I destroyed her stuff. I told her I'd be paying for a moving company to come to pack it all up and take all of her things for her because right now I'm going to my cabin and I don't have time to deal with M's BS. Good. Very smart. As tempting as it is, don't trash the mutual belongings. Anything that can give her an excuse or her lawyer an excuse to make things more difficult. Just put the stuff aside and you can work it out later. If he wants to destroy his wedding pictures that he has, fine, go right ahead. She said that'd be great and hopes I have fun. She took a box of M's clothes and put it in her car. She then turned to me and asked if she could tag along this time. I said, sure, why don't you go back home, drop off the box, and pack a bag for herself. By the time I went to the store, I packed up the truck she was pulling up, I locked up my house, and took off to the cabin with W. The weekend went really well. The last time I was up there, I realized what a gem that place is. It has a beautiful view and it's completely secluded, so I don't have to deal with any people. It's a place you can truly breathe in and relax. That is awesome. There's nothing like getting away to the woods, the forest, whatever you want to call it, the mountains, the lake, where there's next to no people around to really refresh. That's awesome. I grew up most of my life. I was in rural Pennsylvania. My grandparents bought the property, 60 acres or something like that. Big creek, woods, fields. It was awesome. My own little fortress of solitude, like Superman. And of course, W is with him. There's no way this girl spends this much time with this guy. She doesn't have the hots for him. On Monday, I called a moving company, and by today, Tuesday, 3 guys in a big truck pulled up and started loading. I had every box open and recorded as they closed the box and picked it up. I took pictures of all the furniture and recorded as all the movers loaded it. I thanked them for their tolerating me and tipped them each an extra $50. I then sent all the recordings and pictures to my lawyer and carried on with my day. Very smart. Keep records of everything, because she proved that she's a nut job. Showed up at the house banging down the door. Police shows up, turns it off like that, accuses him of something. And you think these gals would realize, not that they care, what these accusations could do to a guy's entire life. They don't care. So good of him for listening to his attorney, keeping records of everything. The house seemed empty, but also clean without all her things there. When I started this process, my lawyer told me not to get rid of anything that could be considered shared. so I put most of the furniture in a storage unit. I've been sleeping in the guest room since she left, so up until I started writing this post. I've been buying all new furniture, and I'll most likely be keeping the majority of it in the garage now that I have space. I won't be keeping the house even if I win it in the divorce. It holds too many bad memories. Thank you for reading. So that was his update for now, and I'm glad to see that he's doing well. Definitely funny about the freaking ex, and sad. But again, the little sister, he hasn't nailed her yet, but we're all waiting for it. At the end of the day, bad idea. I can joke around it because I'm not serious. He should not get involved with her, for God's sakes. But I couldn't help but laugh if it did happen. But the guy that was nailing his wife, his ex, she's a fiance, he wants to nail her. She's good looking. Knock your socks off. And shit, he wants to do a three-way with all three of them. I would advise it, but that'd be funny too. Now some comments here. And I want to read these comments because overwhelmingly, the support this guy has, it's great. And this is why people put these things on Reddit, because it's a way for them to get some outside perspective. It's a way for them to vent, and they really get support, and it holds them together. It's amazing. One guy says here, I'm glad to see that you have maintained your strength, my dude, and are finding new and better ways to retaking your power. Keep that energy going. It'll be your guide to get out of this nightmare. Very admirable of you to check in on the OBS. She appreciates more than you know, and it's good that you are keeping with the house. It's nothing but scars. You owe it to yourself to have a clean slate. And again, W's got the hots for you. Keep riding the light, brother. See, I'm not the only one thinks that. Yeah, actually, he's getting rid of the house. And that's a good idea. He's got to start over. Another guy says here, I've been following your situation on Reddit since the beginning, and I must say you've tackled everything like a champ. And the fact that you've been checking up on the OBS shows you're a good man with a good heart. Well, sadly, good men with good hearts get their good hearts stomped on by so many, unfortunately. Needless to say, she traded gold for turd as her affair partner is someone who himself is a cheater. I wish you all the best for your healing journey. And last one, this guy says, hopefully your soon-to-be ex-wise drunken idiocy last week, she'll have enough sense to stay away from you. She's only compounding by her own shame by acting like that. I'm curious, though, did she get charged with a DUI? How about charged with a false claim? How about that? If she drove to your house drunk and was given a breathalyzer test, surely they popped her for that. One can only hope. Other people in these comments are saying you should bang your ex's sister. I think that would be a bad idea. But OBS, on the other hand, is she your type? Ha ha. See, I'm not the only one. Everybody's thinking about that. Have you heard about anything about the affair partner since this all went down? Has your ex's sister kept you updated on your ex's mental status and behavior since she has been released? So that is the end of that, and his question about his ex's mental status, well, I think her actions have demonstrated her mental status, and it's definitely gone down the toilet. But you know what? She's going to be somebody else's problem. Pretty soon he'll be divorced and a free man, and that'll be the end of that. And fortunately, they've only been married a short period of time, so hopefully it isn't too bad for him. That's the last thing he deserves. And he gets to also have the last laugh because the younger sister really, let's just say she doesn't have the hots for him, which I think she does. She obviously cares about the guy, unless she's a master spy and is spying on him for her, the sister, but I don't think that's the case. Anyway, guys, I will keep you posted on this ongoing story. I don't think I've ever done anything beyond a part 5, but this thing could go up to part 27, but you guys seem to like it, so I'll keep doing it. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below what you think about this. And guys, you come across a good story like me to share, a good story, a personal story, a good article, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it, and I definitely will. And if you're new to the channel, by all means, hit the subscribe button. Really trying to grow this channel this year, so the more you guys subscribe, the more YouTube thinks this channel's kicking ass, and it'll recommend me more. As well as you should definitely subscribe to my other channels, SSM Clips, and They Did What. Really appreciate that. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.